All right, the first painting that I chose was Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. It's an oil canvas painting that was painted in the year 1889. Van Gogh was widely known for cutting off his ear during a state of depression where he suffered from a lot of hallucinations. What a lot of people don't know is that this painting was actually painted while he was in an insane asylum or mental health asylum. Um, there's this texture of the painting is actually in pasto or impasto. There's a lot of secondary colors, um, primary colors here. You see it's a lot of blues. There's tertiary colors. Um, Van Gogh placed this figurine that's right in the middle of this photo. We're not sure if it's a tree or a spark of fire, but it has a significant place in the photo due to the sizing of it. Um, there are a lot of clotheslines here. Um, the axis line is right where the wind seems to stop and mountains seem to form. Um, the open lines are where the wind is. The clotheslines are right where like the church and the villages are right down at the bottom. Um, this painting is one of my favorites because we know that it's nighttime due to the crescent moon, and nighttime is usually associated with peace. And whenever I look at this picture, I get a lot of peace or silence. We don't really see people, but we do see that lights are on down in this area. The composition of this photo, you look directly at the sky, of course. You see these bright yellows that he used to depict the illuminating light from the moon and the stars that are all over. And it's just a beautiful painting, and whenever I look at it, I get a sense of peace. The next painting that I chose was Edward Hopper's Nighthawks. It's an oil canvas painting that was painted in the year 1942. Here we see that it's a diner on a street corner here. Nowhere seems to else to be open. The composition of this photo, the only light that's shining in this picture or this painting is from the diner. Um, you immediately look in and you see there's a woman here in red who was inspired by Hopper's wife. Next to her is a man. We're not sure if they're actually a couple, but they're so close together. The next person here is a man whose back is facing us. We're not sure really who he is. And then there's an employee here. Um, for New York to be widely known as a busy, bustling city, you look here and you see that there's a lot of dark colors to just show that there's no life really around except for the four people in this diner. There's a large separation in between the three patrons here. He's kind of on the darker side where the world seems to be closed off and the light kind of illuminates even in this here corner. These axis lines, they're shining directly upon these three people, although there are four people in there. um they're in a very intimate setting, but nobody is directly shown touching or talking. The small details about this painting speaks to the composition of it. We're not really sure if he's already helped him, if he's helping them. It's like he's facing just them. Nobody is really making eye contact with this guy over here. And I really love that about this photo is the fact that you don't really know what's going on. You know that the outside world is shut off, and we're only focusing on these four people, but really these three directly in the middle that Hopper has drawn most of our attention to. The next photo that we're going to talk about is the 3rd of May. It was released in the year 1814. It's an oil painting on canvas. The artist of this painting is Francisco Goya. The composition sets an immediate split of light and dark, where you see on the left side of the painting, it's a lot of light here. Right off the bat, you look and you see a man who's dressed in white who has his arms out, almost like a crucifixion. You see that there is an assassination that's taking place and assassinations that have already taken place. Um, you see there's an axis line on this hill. It's like a horizon going directly to a diagonal line of soldiers who have rifles pointed at people. We don't know what they did until we do further research and we find out that the 3rd of May is actually when innocent civilian Spaniards rebelled and were viciously killed by French soldiers. Um, it's like a beam of light is shining down on the civilians, especially this guy in the middle here who seems like he is asking, to just stop. It's like his hands are outward, his palms are facing us. uh, as you look, you see the civilians who are covering their faces, who are hands are clasped together, almost like they're begging for mercy from these French soldiers. You see that they are hooded. We don't see their faces. So all we see is their rifles, their swords, and they don't have much personality in them. This painting is one of my favorites just because it shows the dark pieces that art can show us that are really happening, because this happened. This is real, A lot of the times I feel that art shows us a lot of the positive, but for it to show this negative, massacre that took place, I feel that art was Goya's light showing us what actually happened, because it is a very important time in history. Goya has faces of the victims looking at us, whereas we can't see faces of the soldiers. Um, and that just really speaks volumes to the composition of this photo. The next photo that I got here, or painting, is Hopeless. It's a painting by Roy Lichtenstein in the year 1963. It's inspired by a pop comic. It's an oil painting combined with acrylic. In the original photo, actually, Roy did not have the hand there, and the girl was depicted as the brunette. Roy came back to make the unexpected changes of adding a hand here, changing her hair to blonde. With that, the blonde draws us directly to her face. The hand adds a sense of delicacy with the photo. It's a caption here because it's inspired by a comic. It says, "That's the way it should have begun, but it's hopeless." With that, there's explanation points, so you know that there's a lot of emotion in this picture. The tears, the axis lines where her eyes are, the outlines of her hair. It just makes the whole entire photo pop, and I'm in love with it. The modifications that Roy made only adds to the delicacy of the photo. We really know that this girl is in distress. We don't know exactly what's wrong with her, but we know that she's like lying down, almost like she's given up on everything. Although we're facing directly towards her, her eyes are looking downward, like she's given up. And that's why it's one of my favorite photos, because of the colors, the eccentric, the pop. The next picture that I chose was Composition 8. It's an oil canvas painting created in 1928 by artist Waisley Kandinsky. It is an abstract style, but it's mostly a bunch of geometric shapes. When you look at it, it's really a lot of circles. You can see a huge circle over here to your left that we're about to get to. It's incomplete circles, it's incomplete squares, it's shapes that you can't really make out. And right off the back, you look at this photo and you look to the left and you see like this circular clothesline circle. There's a lot of clothesline circles, but this one seems to be the biggest. It has some purple, a dark black ring, and then some pink, and then some more reddish. Um, you see like a sunnish type circle directly next to it. There's some clotheslines directly in the middle of the photo. You notice that there is a triangle that's incomplete. I like this photo because you honestly don't know where to look. Um, it has a lot going on. It's abstract. You don't really know what to make of these figures, and that's what I like. I feel like this picture is really just fun. Um, it's just a bunch of things together that you can't, it's no direct meaning that you know of. And Kandinsky is really mainly known for doing abstract paintings and pictures. You don't really know where to look first, and honestly, my favorite thing about this photo is the fact that you don't know where to look first. The last thing in this project is to pick a question. My question I picked was Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa is one of the most famous paintings in the history of art. What, in your opinion, makes this painting noteworthy? And in my honest opinion, I do not see what all the hype is about. At its prime, I think that it was looked at as an extraordinary piece due to the woman in the painting not holding any significant religious ties or any proven identity. I think that the mysteriousness of the woman and the curiosity of the viewer for whom was painted, which is the woman, draws people to the painting. We don't know who she is, but we're so drawn to her just because that simple fact. During that time, um we it wasn't common for anyone who didn't have any religious or significant ties to the community to be painted. You had to be, in quotations, all that to have a portrait like this, but for her to not have any significant ties, the smirk on her face, the details in the painting, the wrinkles, the way that her hands are, um, even the landmarks in the background, it doesn't even have any significant landmarkings. You don't see anything really, it seems like rock and water, but it's not common for things like this to take place during that time period, which is why I think that it made such a staple piece. Um, in all honesty, making it so noteworthy for certain people.